Welcome back, guys. I'm doing another grind guide. This time it's going to be on the Condenashang. The Condenashang, or the comms laser for short, is a tier 5 battlecruiser from the OPA Navy line in the Expanse tech tree. It requires 6 million XP and 12 million credits with the Condenashang Ferrante. I think that's how you pronounce it. Like the last video, we'll examine the grind and then move on to a comparison and then finish off with a couple of runs in the ship. The grind for this ship is relatively straightforward. Most of these are designed to do one thing, and that's camp and fire missiles. It might not be the most exciting gameplay, but it does allow you to rack up some considerable XP. You only need 20,000 XP to move on to the dewalt from the Phantom, and you'll probably reach that after the first or second round, so we'll just move on and talk about the tie-in. The dewalt needs 120,000 XP to progress to the tie-in. Again, you don't have to play too long with this ship if you focus on hiding behind cover and launching your missiles at targets. The tie-in is needed to unlock both the Pella and the Condenashang Ferrante. You need 1.4 million for the Condenashang and then another 1.2 for the Pella. I personally wanted to get the comms laser first, as the Pella is mainly a support ship, but that's completely up to you. And, of course, to no one's surprise, the tie-in is exactly the same as its earlier variants when we're talking about gameplay. Missile camping is the name of the game at this point. Finally, we reach the end of the grind with the Condenashang Ferrante. This time you are not only armed with missiles, but you also have the added benefit of a railgun. Although most of your DPS comes from your missile armament, so when it comes to racking up a larger amount of XP, some maps favor missile gameplay more than others. So, minimizing damage intake and increasing survivability, I would choose maps that have lots of cover. Angle the front of your ship so it is just slightly outside of the cover, and then fire your missiles and retract. Of course, if the enemy isn't targeting you, you can abandon your cover and try to use your railgun, but your railgun only has a 45-kilometer range. Considering that's a spinal, that's not too good. You could still be targeted at that range. Lastly, the ship has one trick up its sleeve. If you didn't know, it actually has side thrusters, meaning that using your arrow keys, your up and down ones specifically, you can move vertically. So that's really nice if you need to kind of get in cover and you just want to adjust. Very few ships have this, so it's actually a pretty good benefit. The comms laser, much like its tech tree counterparts, is a dedicated long-range cruiser. I think there's a difference between sniping and long range, and it fits better in the latter. Like I said in the last video, not every ship is on this list, and stats are constantly changing. So here's my list of comparison. The comms laser is 4th in total damage against health. Now this also includes your point defense guns. It is 5th in total damage against shields. It ties with the Blue Noah for 4th in total HP. It does not have a shield, so it ties in 4th again. Condenashang takes 1st when it comes to max speed. Ties again with the Blue Noah for 1st place in maneuverability. I added range as a factor to better compare this ship, as I think range is one of its main benefits. Right here I'm including only spinals, so max, wave motion guns, and railguns. It takes 3rd. And in missile range, it comes in last. While I like the Condenashang as a ship, it has many obvious flaws that hurt its gameplay. The biggest issue, in my opinion, has to be the main beam. The beam itself is okay, good range and all, but it has a very limited aiming access, meaning you can't fire this from your broadside, so you can't take advantage of your exceptional speed and maneuverability. The railguns are also pretty underpowered. They have the worst range and reload time out of any Expanse Tier 5, although that's not a huge issue because, you have 3 of them, and when their damage adds up, it really isn't that bad. Besides, you don't use this ship for the railguns anyway. When I was building the list to compare this ship with, I had trouble finding other ships like it, simply because it's really a weird mix. It's a mix between a sniper and a frigate, but it doesn't have the extended range to make it a sniper, and it's not fast enough to be a frigate. Ships like the Blue Noah or the Resurgent don't even really play the same role. They're battleships, but I included them because they have access to that longer range, and like what I said before, I feel like range is its main feature. Again, The grind isn't really that bad. 6 million XP with the tier 4 is reasonable. Just remember, your missiles are key to being effective in a fight. So, of course, I would keep in mind that this is just my opinion. But if you are looking for a good long-range ship, I wouldn't necessarily choose this one. If you want a ship with cool beam weapons, the DOS from the Covenant tech tree is a much harder grind overall, but way better at sniping. Something like a Tripoli or Mangonel are great missile ships if you want to go even further. The Starhawk would be a good choice too if you want a battleship with a beam weapon, but it also still retains some of that longer range. Okay guys, we're back. We're in the lobby. We are going to choose a map. I'll give you my opinion on what maps there are. So Ballin is pretty good. It's a pretty longer range map. Installation 4, actually, Installation 4 isn't really a long range map because it's out in the open, there's tons of room. It's actually a great map for stealth ships. It's brilliant. If you guys want me to do a guide on something like a Erebus, that is that's the greatest map you can grind stealth ships on, because you can hide behind the ring and you can rack up tons of damage, especially with a 200 booster. Okay, this is let's see what we have here. So I'm gonna immediately turn on point defense mode because we don't need those. But we have an invisible hand over to our right, destroying this resurgent or finalizer, whatever, under us. And our team is kind of a weird spot. So if I try to run, I'll probably be destroyed. So I'll might have to make a stand here, but I don't really know. Let's target this Chancellor class. So how much damage we can rack up. So I took down a shield. It's relative. He can hit me. He has 50-kilometer range, but he's not targeting me right now. And this, what is that? Truman? Yeah, that's a Truman. He's not targeting me either. So I'll try to get this guy. I'm gonna just slowly back up here. One thing I did want to test, and it has to be with broadsiding with this laser. And I wanted to see if we can loop with this ship. I think you can. It's pretty fast. But as you can see, if I disable my Series 5 railgun, where is it? There. It's really slow at moving. It doesn't go any farther than here, and this isn't truly looping. Like, I have to be right about where this Kaibin or whatever here, and I can sort of loop, but not really. And it's so slow at traversing, it's just really difficult to use. And I mean, sure, it's a super weapon, so it's supposed to have those downsides, but it's pretty annoying when you put it in. I didn't want to do that. When you put it in context, because you can't use any of the comms lasers' amazing speed and maneuverability, and I just got. Damn. Okay. What I was saying was you can't really use any maneuverability to the level I wish you could. Let's try to get creative. Can we move our? So we actually can move our comms laser up, but how would we move sideways? Yeah, I just don't see any way you could loop in any form at 50-kilometer range and actually get away with it. So that's kind of what's been really annoying with this ship, because why have a ship that has maneuverability, but you don't need it really. You could be super slow, and I find that wouldn't really change the ship, because all in all you need to do damage, and your damage is really mainly in your missiles and in your laser. Sure, you can use your missiles, but if you want to use missiles, use something like a Tripoli, or use something in the Halo tech tree like a Mangonel. Like, those are better ships for throwing missiles, in my opinion, that are faster. But of course, that's just me. So I kind of feel like the Condenashang is in a weird spot right now, where it has some cool things like the comms laser, but it doesn't really do anything really well. One thing I did mention, does have this flip and burn thing right at the bottom. I kind of find that useless, and I'll show you why. If you spawn in and you want to turn around and get farther away from the enemy, why don't you just turn around normally and you'll keep your spawn protection rather than using your flip and burn, which will remove your spawn protection, and that allows you to be targeted. So I just feel like just for that 1-2 seconds you're turning, it doesn't really matter too much. So, but that's just me. Oh, this Kai-Bean is going crazy over here. Oh boy. Anyway, like I said. Okay, we have the new map selection. I think we could try High Charity. High Charity, again, kind of open map. We start at longer ranges, so I guess we could try it. We'll try to get a bit creative here. But, like I said, not sure what to do, because I can show you some boring gameplay clip of me just firing away at an enemy, but the minute I get attacked by another ship, it's more than likely they're going to defeat me, because I just don't really have that much. Let's see how it goes. Okay, we spawned in here. Let's see what our team is using. A Shep. Okay, well, after an interesting start, the enemy team has come fully prepared. Like, for example, I could target the Reaper or the Kai-Bean right here, but that's a Doneger, right? The Doneger is totally going to be able to fire at me. First thing. There's the Thanatos. Oh, and guy teleported here. These teleport ships are really weak, which is probably a good thing, to be honest. I was thinking about making a CPV video, and I don't know, maybe that'd be interesting. Harmon that's a Doneger. Doneger is a great counter to this ship, because even if I'm at range, he'll always outrange me. Even at okay, he's at 37. He's pretty close. So he's still hitting most of his shots on me. So even then, it's... So I probably should have stayed at longer range, and I probably should have run. But the other team had a sniper, so that really wouldn't have done me anything. And my team wasn't really spawning anything super alarming to the enemy. So either way, I was kind of wasn't gonna go far there. So yeah, if you guys think I'm wrong, if you like the Condenashang, feel free to use it. It's not the worst tier 5, but I just want to like it more for a ship with a giant super laser at the front of it, especially with its fast reload time, which is really nice. 10 seconds isn't that much. I still just feel like I only would play it for support. Like, I wouldn't ever rely on being alone or in a 1v1 at all, because it doesn't do anything better than anyone else. It's just extra damage. And yet I feel like there are other ships that provide more extra damage. Maybe I'm wrong. This is just my opinion, but feel free to grind it. It's not too long of a grind, but either way, you're probably better off going after something else. But again, this is just my opinion. Anyway, thanks guys.